Welcome to The Right Atmosphere, podcast for writers, brought to you by Atmosphere Press, the only publisher that puts rewarding and meaningful author experiences above all else. I'm your host, Hayla Alawi. On this episode, we'll be learning how authors can create a solid elevator pitch for their book with our special guest, Ekta R. Garg. Based in central Illinois, Ekta got her start in niche publishing in 2005 and has written about and edited everything from healthcare to home improvement to Hindi films. Ekta is currently the managing editor of a magazine in central Illinois that focuses exclusively on the local community, a writing contest judge and frequent writing workshop presenter at her local library. Ekta also hosts Biblio Breakdown on her author website. In this writing podcast, she talks about great books and offers exercises based on them so writers can improve their craft. She also manages The Right Edge about all things writing and The Right Edge bookshelf, where she reviews new and upcoming books. Ekta's first book, The Truth About Elves, won the 2023 Next Generation Indie Book Awards for Best Novella. Her first novel, In the Heart of the Lindenwood, won the 2024 Kindle Book Awards for Best Cover. Both are available now from Atmosphere Press. Outside of reading, writing, and editing, Ekta follows the latest gossip out of Bollywood, dances in the kitchen while she's making dinner, and tries to keep her compulsion to reorganize everything in check. Thank you so much for joining me, Ekta. As not only a multi-book author, but also an editor and a reviewer, you've got tons of experience navigating the publishing industry, but specifically from these different angles, not just as a writer. So I'm sure you know intimately how saturated the publishing industry is, and based on that, how vital it is to communicate your point concisely. So I'm so excited to hear from you. What can you tell us about how authors can create a solid elevator pitch for their book?
Yeah, thanks so much, Hayla. I am so happy to be here and so happy to be able to share what I know about developing elevator pitches for books. For those of you who have never heard the term elevator pitch, it's publishing shorthand for a quick way to summarize your book. Now, you can probably guess where the name came from. The idea is that if you're in an elevator with someone who shows interest in your writing, you should be able to tell them about your book in the amount of time it takes you to ride that elevator. Also, your elevator pitch is usually something you do face to face, whether you're at events selling your book or in your workplace talking about your writing or in that hypothetical elevator. Are there occasions where you'll use the elevator pitch in written form? Absolutely. But what I'm going to focus on today is the person-to-person elevator pitch. Now, it's possible that some of you are already thinking, wait a minute, I'm a writer, I don't talk, I write. And believe me, I get it. I like to say I'm a recovering introvert. I still have times where the most comfortable parts of my day are when I'm reading or at my computer, essentially when I don't have to deal with other people. If, however, you want to share your writing with the world, if you want to gain loyal fans and readers, that means you're going to have to market your book. And with a little patience, an elevator pitch is one of the easiest pieces of marketing you'll ever do. It doesn't require any fancy setup, just you and the person who has expressed an interest in your work. It's also completely free to create and use. And best of all, it's evergreen. Atmosphere Press published my first book, The Truth About Elves, in October of 2021. And nearly 4 years later, I'm still using the same elevator pitch I developed for it in the weeks after the book released. So, how do we write an elevator pitch? First, let's talk about what an elevator pitch is and what it's not. A true elevator pitch, first of all, is not a summary of your entire book. An elevator pitch is also not vague or generic. If you don't include enough details, or if your pitch makes your book sound like the thousands of other books in your genre with a similar idea, readers may pass up your work to read someone else's. It also isn't longer than a couple of sentences. In today's day and age where people are used to short form content, it's critical to catch someone's interest in the fastest time possible. Once you have their interest, they'll almost always stop to listen to more. So then what is an elevator pitch? Well, a successful elevator pitch is three things. Number one, it's an opportunity to market your book in a short time frame, usually up to about 60 seconds. Number two, an elevator pitch is also a chance to summarize the unique points of your book. Not all the points, just the ones that make your book different from everyone else. Lastly, a successful elevator pitch gets potential readers to wonder, what happens next? This should lead them to want to check out the book, which often means a sale for you. So here's the elevator pitch I give when someone asks me about the truth about elves. The truth about elves is about a man named Curtis who works part-time for Santa as an elf. Santa asks him to do something that he really doesn't want to do, but he kind of owes Santa one, so he does it, and it takes him back to the place he thought he'd never see again, which is home. Now, let's take this apart based on the 3 factors for a successful elevator pitch. First, is it short? Yes. My pitch is only 2 sentences long, and when I timed myself saying it at a normal speaking speed, it only took about 15 seconds. Second, does it summarize the unique points of my book? Yes. Curtis is an elf for Santa, and not just an elf, but one who works part-time for Santa. When I get to that part of the pitch, people often look intrigued, which goes into the third part of a successful elevator pitch, which is, do readers start wondering what happens next? All throughout my pitch, I can almost see the questions forming in people's minds. Santa has part-timers? Also, I mentioned that Curtis owes Santa a favor. What kind of favor? How does someone owe Santa? Doesn't he just give out gifts once a year and then check out for the next 12 months? My pitch ends with the fact that Curtis thought he'd never see home again, yet, thanks to this favor he does, he gets to go back. Potential readers are probably thinking, wait, why couldn't he go home before that? 9 times out of 10, when I finish the pitch with the fact that Curtis does get to go home again, people respond with, "Aw," and I follow that up with, "It's a holiday story. It should have a happy ending, right?" That last part about it being a holiday story is also part of the elevator pitch, and often it convinces people to buy the book because they like the idea of a holiday story with a warm, fuzzy feeling at the end. Curtis, my protagonist, has to go through a world of hurt to get there. But even before reading the book or giving it as a Christmas gift to someone else, the person buying my novella already has a guarantee that this will fit right in with their idea of a snowy day and a mug of hot chocolate. Now think about this for a second. I gave a potential reader an entire experience in 2 sentences and 15 seconds. And among the many other things readers want from books, high on that list is an experience different from real life. This is why I say your elevator pitch is one of your greatest marketing tools. If you craft it carefully enough, you can promise your future readers a new experience before they ever open the cover of your book. Now, let's take a look at the elevator pitch that I'm fine-tuning for my latest book from Atmosphere, which is called The Witch's Apprentice and Other Stories. This book will release this August, and here's the pitch that I've developed for it. The Witch's Apprentice and Other Stories is a micro collection of short stories that fills in the gaps of the fairy tales and nursery rhymes we all know and love by answering very serious questions like, why did Jack and Jill need that pail of water in the first place? Now, once again, let's compare this to the 3 main rules for building a successful elevator pitch. Is it short? Yes, it's a single sentence. And again, when I timed myself at a normal speaking speed, it came to about 12 seconds. Second, does it summarize the unique points of the book? Yes. I've had a few opportunities to practice this pitch with a few variations in front of people already. And so far, the first question I'm getting is, what do you mean by micro collection? That's when I can tell them it's a collection of only 5 stories, which I believe is well suited to today's shorter attention spans. I also hit on the familiar, which is fairy tales and nursery rhymes, and then follow that up with the unique by giving potential readers a question to ask. You're filling in the gaps of these stories? What does that mean? Then I give them an example with a question of my own. Why did Jack and Jill need that pail of water in the first place? Again, this is intentional. I've answered the first question that probably occurred to them, but I've replaced it with a new question that can only be answered by reading the book. Third, have I made people want to know more? Again, I've only practiced this particular pitch a few times, but so far the reactions I've gotten are interest and even delight. Adult readers love to revisit those special times in their childhoods when magic was not only possible, but seemed completely plausible. By implying that I'm going to take them back to those beloved stories and also give them a new experience while reading my book, I've gotten people's attention. With my first book, The Truth About Elves, my second book, In the Heart of the Linden Wood, which is an original fairy tale for grown-ups, and now The Witch's Apprentice and Other Stories, I am making the promise that readers will step into new worlds and be utterly charmed by what they find there. The elevator pitch, as I said, is one of your greatest marketing tools. It's definitely one of the easiest to have with you at all times. No special setup or circumstances required ever. I've given my pitches to people on airplanes and at business meetings when others have asked about my writing and I know it's an appropriate time to do so. I've given my pitches dozens of times during vendor events without missing a beat. But how, you might ask? How am I able to do this so easily? It starts with crafting a pitch on paper that is short, unique, and makes people wonder what happens next. I keep writing and revising until it's no longer than a couple of sentences. Again, remember, this is not a summary of your entire book. This is a marketing tool. That might make you nervous, but it should also make you feel free. You don't have to carry the burden of trying to explain the entire book to someone. Let the book do that for itself. All you have to do is get people interested enough to say, I have to read that. After writing and rewriting the pitch some more, then I practice it out loud. I whisper it to myself in the car when I'm waiting at a light. I say it out loud in the shower. I keep saying it and keep saying it until I no longer have to worry about having it memorized. Someone says the name of one of my books, and the pitch just starts playing as if I've got my own personalized elevator pitch streaming service in my head. Is it easy? Maybe not with the first book, but once you go on to your second or your third or beyond, you become better at it. I started practicing an oral version of my elevator pitch for The Witch's Apprentice long before I put it on paper. Like I said, I'm still fine-tuning it, but I know it's close to what I want it to be. This might sound a little intimidating, but as we're wrapping up here, let me remind you of one very important thing. You are the biggest champion of your book. No one will work harder than you to make it succeed. That means you get the challenge, but also the privilege of telling the world about your book over and over again. Even if you're a little shy or reserved, that is okay. If you can write a whole book, you absolutely can write and say the elevator pitch for it too. I believe you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ekta. I loved that final detail about like memorizing it, but kind of in a different way, just keeping that as a practice to yourself until you have to say it out loud. And I think especially for writers, especially like you mentioned, more of the introverted type of writer, that can be really challenging, even if you have the perfect elevator pitch or, let's say the perfect book, even. Then having to talk about it in person to someone can be a huge challenge to overcome. So I think that's such a great detail to just make sure not to forget about also internalizing that um, elevator pitch so that you can recite it out loud as soon as you need to. And it'll be more like muscle memory than a scary obstacle.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the thing is that, it feels like a big scary thing. But one thing that I've discovered and something that I read somewhere a long time ago is that the majority of the time when people are asking about your book, they're asking because they want to know about it. And the baseline of that is that they want you to succeed. They want you to do well. So if writers, I know we have a tendency to doubt ourselves a lot, but if we go into an elevator pitch or any other part of our writing career with that baseline thought that people want us to succeed, I think it kind of flips the script and gives us a little bit of confidence that if this person is already coming to me with the idea that they want me to succeed, then I should definitely meet them halfway and do so by giving them an elevator pitch that's easy to remember and, with details that will stand out in their minds.
Yeah, feeding that energy back to them. I think that's a great um, thing to keep in mind when you're approaching any situation like this one. Before we say goodbye to our guest, I'm happy to say that this episode is brought to you by Atmosphere Press, the only publisher that puts rewarding and meaningful author experiences above all else. Founded in 2015 by an author and PhD in literature and devoted to serving authors through editorial, design, publication, and promotion, Atmosphere has sold tens of thousands of copies of their authors' books across 6 continents. Visit atmospherepress.com to sign up for Atmosphere's newsletter, The Launchpad, and to learn about submission opportunities, event news, and free book publicity and writing residency giveaways. Well, Ekta, also, I want to ask you, where should our listeners go to learn more about you and your books and what it is that you do?
Absolutely. So you can definitely check out my author website. It's ektargarg.com. You can find me on the socials, on Facebook, Twitter, well, I guess what is formerly Twitter, and Instagram, just with my name. And of course, on Atmosphere Press's website, you can do a search with my name and find me there as well. I am so thrilled that I get to be an Atmosphere author and thrilled for this opportunity to be able to extend the love and help that I've gotten from Atmosphere to other writers and hopefully bring them into the fold too.
Absolutely. And you have so much wonderful expertise to learn from. So, I mean, this podcast is a good, or sorry, this episode is a good example of that. But also definitely check out those resources that Ekta mentioned. She's got a ton of great stuff on her website and on her socials. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of The Right Atmosphere, the Advice for Writers podcast. If you liked what you heard, please leave a review and share this podcast with the writers in your life. And if you're ready to take the next step in your publication journey, visit atmospherepress.com to submit your manuscript for publication consideration or to learn more about writing and what it is that we do. I'm Hala. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode.